A media kit is essentially a pitch deck for you as a creator, where when a brand reaches out, you are showcasing the work that you've done. You're trying to put your best foot forward and give the type of information that a brand would want to see so that you don't have to answer these questions individually every time a brand reaches out.
Welcome back to Med Creator 101. I'm your host, Mimi Banks, the founder of MB Social. And as always, I'm joined by the one and only board-certified dermatologist, Medfluencer, Dr. Dustin Portela.
Thank you. Glad to be back where we are helping you to become a better content creator.
Again, before we dive in, I'm still not over these icebreakers. I get little glimpses and pieces of new information. I find it so fun. So today, we're just going to go with one question. And I just want to picture this, and maybe we should have a live demo, but what's your go-to karaoke song?
Well, if we did a live demo, everybody would tune out of the episode right now. My favorite karaoke song is probably Crocodile Rock by Elton John.
I just need to picture this.
Because you got those high notes in there. And no, I cannot hit them at all, but I sure give it my best try.
This is amazing. And so would you include this on your media kit?
No, I would not include that in the media kit. But I will tell you, if I had to do a backup of my favorite song, it'd either be One Week by Bare Naked Ladies or Hook by Blues Traveler, because they have these really fast parts. And as a teenager, I dedicated time to learn the whole songs verbatim, and I can do them. And most people can't do them. So I do, that's a skill, I think.
That's like a party trick.
It is a party trick. But no, I would not include that in a media kit.
I think this is a good segue into talking about all things media kit. And before you talk about partnerships, you really want to think about how you pitch yourself. How do you want to showcase your work, establish your credibility and expertise? And how do you want to be perceived by someone that doesn't know you?
A media kit is something you don't think about usually until you need it. And that was the case for me, where I was starting to grow a following and I had worked one-on-one with a brand, CeraVe actually, who knew that they wanted me to do something in particular. And they asked, what I might charge for that. I had never even thought about that question. But then it was the second partnership where they asked if I could send them my media kit. And I did not even know what that was. So this is something that when you're an unintentional content creator like I was, this is not top of mind. And so I think that was probably at the point where I reached out to you and said, hey, I need a little help here. What is a media kit? And do you make those? Do you have a graphic designer? I don't know what this is. So a media kit is essentially a pitch deck for you as a creator, where when a brand reaches out, you are showcasing the work that you've done. You're trying to put your best foot forward and give the type of information that a brand would want to see so that you don't have to answer these questions individually every time a brand reaches out.
Yes, there's an amazing efficiency that helps you and the brand see if you're a fit to work together, whether your content is what they're looking for, whether it's the demographics they're looking for. Do you resonate with their target audience? And how can they assess your potential? The other thing sometimes too is they can actually have a quick glance to see, do you fit in within their budget? Some people put their rates inside of a media kit, some people don't. The other thing that a media kit does, it helps answer brands' questions in advance. So as Dustin was saying, you don't have to go back and forth. It also helps you stand out from the rest. Maybe you have a strong branding. Maybe you have really incredible information that you want to share. And it also shows that you're serious about collaboration. Let's talk about that time, Dustin, if you remember, when we created your media kit back in the day now. And let's talk about how it's helped you in general.
The media kit has been hugely helpful in my journey as a creator because it immediately helps brands to recognize if we're going to be a good fit or not. And we do choose to include rates on the media kit because it's always going to be a question. And there's certain brands who may automatically select out because of that or may jump right in because of that. So it's just going to save time for one. And two, as you mentioned, it does help you stand out. So when you have a brand reach out and they're maybe just dipping their toes into the water with social media influencers, they could be impressed to see that you've worked with a Sephora and a CeraVe and a La Roche-Posay and that you've done a commercial and you get the chance to showcase that kind of stuff. You get to essentially answer questions that the brand may not even know that they should be asking. And so you get to show them the great things that you've done and kind of influence the brands who are trying to get you for your influence. And so on my media kit, we have a lot of the brands that I've worked with and some notable campaigns that I've been a part of. Things like the CeraVe soap opera and an appearance on The Talk daytime TV show. And then we also go over the analytics for each of the major platforms. So the brands always want to know, and we update this on a monthly basis for new follower counts, the demographics of those followers, where they live, male versus female, the age ranges, because then that helps the brand to know if they have a product, who are they interested in getting that product in front of, and do your followers match the demographic of who they're looking for? So that's going to answer a question for them right away. And then, of course, budget, because I am a full-time physician, I run a practice, I have a family. And so when I'm going to be doing work for somebody, I want to be fairly compensated for that, for the time that it takes me and the influence that I have the potential to have. And a brand may decide that they don't have a budget for that. They can decide, you know what, maybe we'll come back to you in 6 months or 12 months when we have a bigger budget. Or they may decide, all right, well, we wanted 5 TikTok videos, but maybe let's just do 2 TikTok videos or something like that. So it just helps to answer a lot of questions and eliminate a lot of back and forth for either me as a content creator or my team.
And also, it gives the brand something to hold on to physically so they can go back, and it keeps you top of mind. So let's say they're looking for partners, they're looking for influencers, and then they know that they have Dustin's information on hand. They could always go back to it. A lot of it's being top of mind. It's very interesting in this is, how can you be top of mind? How can you stand out? So I think a lot of you are probably used to doing CVs, showcasing your credentials. You have diplomas on your wall. This is a way to bring that to life. Your expertise is very much appreciated. The fact that Dustin is a board certified dermatologist, super important. If you have specialties, expertise, very important, because the more expertise that you have, the higher likelihood that a certain brand will partner with you, because you speak to them, as Dustin was saying, you can speak to their target audience. For example, someone who specializes in acne, somebody that specializes in a certain area. I guess that's the definition of specialty, but whatever your specialty may be, bring that to the forefront so they can see. Also showcase your press, because at the end of the day, you are the press for this brand. So they want to see that you're media friendly, that if you've been on TV, have a link. You don't have to have every single one, but maybe the notable places, if you've had it in big titles, that's also builds your credibility even more.
Yeah, I think that's important also. And we do include, notable media mentions with high profile outlets when I've commented for articles or even been the feature of a specific article.
That's right. And the other thing I think you do really well, Dustin, is visuals. So in Dustin's case, he has a brand. He has brand colors, he has brand fonts. And so the entire media kit reinforces his brand. He also makes sure to have headshots done regularly. So that means the media kit looks like him. It sounds silly, but imagine you had short hair, then you grew it out, but your media kit is showing you with short hair. And the brand or the partner wants to cast you, you show up with long hair. There's a gap there. The brand might be surprised for whatever reason. So you want to make sure that it reflects you and your truest self.
This is not like your old passport photo from 8 years ago or your driver's license that looks nothing like you now. You want to continually be putting your best face forward. And in my case, obviously, from the time that I started as a content creator till now, I have a very different appearance. I don't have hair now. I grew out a beard. I had braces. I went to the gym and put on, 30 pounds of muscle. So I look very different than I did at the start. And over the course of that, I became more confident, and that comes across in my videos. So I wanted to update my headshots to reflect the confidence that I had in front of a camera and the new look that I had as well. So at least once a year, I'll do a session of new headshots.
When it comes to formatting, I think that's something else to think about. I've seen a few different examples. Cram it all onto one page. Canva has templates. You don't want to cram anything, because the goal here is to make it easy to read. You want to be concise. You also want to be powerful. So you want to have information that's going to stand out. When there's too much information and you can't read it, it's not visually pleasing, or the fonts are small, people are going to pass you by. So think about how you can convey your information. Maybe it's on 2 pages. Maybe it's on 3 pages. On Dustin's page, we have a slide per piece of information when it comes to press or partnerships or his bio or the rates. Each one has its own dedicated slide so it can be digested and understood. So now that we have a media kit, once you've started that, now you can either, as I mentioned, do that on Canva. You can hire a graphic designer. There's so many different ways. You can probably Google media kit and find one. What do you do with it? What we've started to do, our secret, is we have a template on Google Docs. We use a PowerPoint template and we send it to a brand using view only. Why? It makes it easier for us to update on a whim. It makes it easier for a brand to be able to access it, and then it's shareable. We've tried in the past to attach it, a bulky document, and honestly, it gets clogged, it gets stopped. When you do it in just a link, a shareable link, maybe you do Dropbox, maybe it's Canva. We use Google Docs. It makes it easier in so many ways. And then we don't have to say, hey, here's Dustin's updated kit. It's constantly updating real time. And so anytime they open it, it's going to be up to date.
I think that's an important approach. And that's why I like that approach for us and our team. I know that there's also websites where people can host their media kit on a website where they just share a private link. And when you do that, you can just update it on the fly. And maybe the brand is preparing for a new campaign and they're going to go back and they're going to start looking at the media kits that they have in their Rolodex, so to speak. And they may now see you've got more followers now, or, oh my gosh, you just appeared in a Super Bowl commercial. And that will automatically be updated to them. And that's not to say that if you do something very notable, you can't reach out to brands and say, hey, we've updated our media kit with this, new announcement, for example. It's just a way to assure that brands that have your media kit will always have the most up-to-date information.
True. And we found that after trial and error. We still do it monthly because we want to make sure we have the metrics and analytics, but we used to have July, August, September. We'd have all these different versions. Then you have version control and you wanted to make sure everything works and looks the same, who has the latest kit. The fact that it's easily updated now on the back end and the receiver doesn't see the difference, huge time saver, huge win. And speaking of these pitch emails we were talking about, I'd like to spend a second just talking about how you pitch yourself. Because when you're going to reach out for a brand and partnership, let's say there's someone that you like, that you think that you would be a good match for, you want to make sure that you send a personalized email. I cannot tell you on the back end of looking at so many Instagram messages that literally say, dear brand, I would like to partner with you. It makes us all chuckle. What you want to do is make sure you do your research, look at the brand, look at the product, and really customize that email and share why you want to partner. What is the added value that you're bringing? Avoid fluff. No one has time for fluff. Brands want substance, nothing vague. You don't want to overpromise on metrics. You want to be honest about your reach and engagement because they can see it. So somebody might ask for a guarantee. Truth be told, you can never actually guarantee. What I always say is look at the reach, look at the engagement on each of the posts. This is what we target. We always obviously hope for more if that's going to be possible. But really, the brand, or you can see very plainly on the creator's profile what they'll likely get. Sometimes they ask very specifically, well, can you guarantee sales? That's a question that you might get. I always say no. There's a high likelihood, but you really cannot guarantee anything. Would you agree, Dustin?
Yeah, I would agree with that. You want to be careful as a creator to put yourself in a position of a guarantee. And I've had opportunities, invites from brands, more particularly early on TikTok, where they wanted to pay for the number of views that I got. So if I got X many views, I'd get this much money. If I got more views, I'd get this much money. And you really just want to be careful about giving a guarantee, whether it's on views, on clicks, on product sales, unless you strictly work in an affiliate manner on social media, which is a different approach that some people take and do very successfully. But it's not the approach that I like to take, is to manage tons of affiliate programs. So you want to just make sure that you do get paid for the time that you put in, and perhaps it makes sense for you as an early creator to work on an affiliate basis, but you cannot give a guarantee to a brand because you don't have control over every different variable when it comes to the algorithm. When you may be scheduled to post on a day, you post, and then something tragic happens in the world and the whole conversation shifts to a new topic, and nobody cares about your post about, a new lip balm, for example, or a knee brace if you're an orthopedic surgeon or something. So you can't guarantee anything in particular. And if you're reaching out to a brand because you want to partner with them, I highly recommend that you show interest in that brand by posting organic content about them beforehand. Because I know that the brands are always watching who mentions them. They're seeing what kind of videos, what is the chatter I think people don't understand the tools that the brands and agencies like yours use to do social media listening. And they will look at all the things that are being said. And I remember talking to a colleague who had visited what was dubbed the war room at a pharmaceutical company. I won't name which pharmaceutical company, but they had a whole army of people whose whole job was just to do social listening, to see what people were saying about their drug or products in particular, because they want to stay on top of the chatter. And probably to a lesser degree than a huge pharmaceutical company, most brands have some kind of tool of social listening. And there's been many creators who blew up because they were organically talking about a product and they had the trust of their audience. And now they become a major face of the brand because they authentically showed interest in it in the beginning. So it's a great way to get attention. And after several organic videos, if you haven't heard from the brand, then it's a great time to reach out and maybe share some of the content directly with the brand.
I think that's a really good point. Recently, you featured shoes on your Instagram story. And I reached out to you and said, who is that? Let's look at that. You really like these shoes. They had reached out. It was a brand that reached out. You genuinely liked them. There was no partnership. It was not paid. You said, I actually really like these. And so my advice was, send me your analytics. Let's look at how the post did and let's see if this could be an actual opportunity.
Yeah, it was just something that, hey, I would like more of these shoes and I want my followers to know they're super comfortable. And I wasn't getting paid anything for that. But when you do that kind of stuff as a creator, that also fosters trust with your audience. Because if you only talk about a brand when you are being paid to do it, that's not authentic.
No, not in the least. And so I think that's the first thing. You're right. As someone that works both on the brand and talent side, when we get the people that reach out to us and say, I want to work with your brand, we first all laugh because they literally say, I want to work with your brand. Which brand are you talking about? It's really just copy paste. So that's a direct no. However, when you dive deeper and you see someone who shares meaningful experiences, how the brand has helped them change their life, I've seen this actually when someone has these stories, you want to help. I think what's really important here is that you have a genuine connection to the brand or partnership that you're speaking out, something that makes sense in your daily life, something that maybe you use in your office or you prescribe to your patients, whether it's any kind of care. Like if you use Scope all the time in your dental practice and you see Scope all day and you just kind of want to show them, take a picture, post about it, talk about how your ride or die is Scope, because that's actually legitimate. And maybe someday Scope will see that and want to just send you some. Then they send you some and you keep posting. And then they say, you know what, this person actually is really committed and they make good content and they're getting actually a lot of comments. Let's do something with them. So there's really this natural evolution and progression when it comes to partnerships. And then tying that back to the media kit, when you look at the media kit and you are sending your media kit out, the brand will also look to see if you're pitching them, does the media kit reflect what you're saying about yourself? And then do you reflect what the ask is? So everything kind of really has to work together. Remember, it's really easy to start one. There's so many templates. You just have to gather information about yourself, starting with your CV, your credentials, moving on to partnerships or content or just some social media stats. If you don't really have any PR, that's fine. Give them examples of the kinds of content that you create and maybe some nuggets of the ways in which that you can partner.
Thanks for joining us on this episode of Med Creator 101 podcast. In this episode, we covered how media kits serve as your professional introduction to brands, showcasing who you are and the value you bring. It should include essential elements such as your bio, audience insights, key metrics, and the services that you offer. Remember to keep it concise, visually appealing, and aligned with your personal brand to ensure that it has a strong impact. You can use this strategically alongside personalized pitches to leave lasting impressions and stand out in the competitive world of brand partnerships. If you'd like a template of a media kit, there'll be one in the podcast show notes. Click that link and we'll send it to your email. If you'd like additional help in creating a media kit or growing on social media, shoot us a DM for more information. Thanks for listening to this episode of Med Creator 101.